Glad you could join us on Thursday, the 7th of June. On Tuesday, the 5th of June, the debate on the country's annual budget began in the House of Assembly. This is a tiresome, never-ending ritual that occurs each year. We simply take too much time on something that few people will remember by next week. It is not the most efficient use of the country's time or the Parliament's time. The ritual will be worse this year and more unending because you have a cabinet of 20, each with a new responsibility, and so each new minister wants to have his say and have their say, and they're having so much to say, promising the world and all as a result of a good economy which was left by the PLP for them. I've been asked by the PLP's leader to shadow my old portfolio responsibilities in foreign affairs and the public service. Elsewhere on this site, you should be able to click into the presentation made in the House and see it on video. My major concern is the state of the public service today. I did not give the name in the House, and I will not today, but I want to bring to the attention of listeners and viewers here the consequences of the rash actions of the now Prime Minister in dismantling ministries and scattering staff to the four winds. It was reported to me that some staff were sent to report to a permanent secretary who did not know they were coming and had nowhere for them to sit, and they were told to go home and report back in 4 days. The more egregious case, though, was that of a public servant with 30 years' experience as a public officer, and that public officer has now been sent to a place where the officer would have nothing to do. The gossip around the F&M is that the public servant helped one of our candidates in his office after hours, and that the officer was seen at a public rally of the PLP. The result is that the officer was identified as a PLP and was sent to a place where the officer would either have to sit in the kitchen or in the conference room when the senior man was not there. This is clearly a constructive dismissal, and I can't understand how John Pinder, the president of the Bahamas Public Services Union, has not been brought into the matter to resolve it. This is a case that I'm inclined to take personally, since this seems clear evidence of victimization and, in more legal terms, a constructive dismissal. The public service is governed by public law and the contractual agreement between the Bahamas Public Services Union and the government. This means that the contract with the civil servant cannot be breached willy-nilly. The matter has now been brought to the attention of the country. And why? Hubert Ingraham, during his campaign, claimed that he was a changed man and not a victimizer. Yet, this is what has happened to this particular civil servant. It is not surprising, since the first act of the new administration was to fire Steve McKinney and Philippa Russell from Z&S in what seemed a clear violation of the terms of their contract. There has not been an effective political response. The officer that I'm talking about should be returned to the job that is equivalent to the standing which he has in the service, with real work to do and forthwith. The Bahamas Public Services Union cannot be silent in the face of the victimization of public servants. But this is one case of the victimization and displacement of alleged PLP supporters since Hubert Ingraham has come to office. There may be many, many others. When I spoke yesterday in the House, I asked the country to go out and get a copy from your favorite video store of The Last King of Scotland, starring Forrest Whitaker. It is the story about the Ugandan dictator Idi Amin Dada. So much of what is happening now in the Bahamas reminds me of what I saw there. The Ugandans thought they were getting a savior, instead they embraced a monster. Go see it. And now, just a word about these podcasts. Some people say they've had difficulty accessing the spoken word without downloading additional software. If you have DSL, that shouldn't be. Once you link to the site, the sound should come up right away, and if not, allow it to buffer for a few seconds and it starts. If it doesn't start, then you click the start or stop button that appears with a written message. You should have one of the programs like Real Player in order to hear it or to see it. Alternatively, you can link into YouTube to see it on video, which also has a link inside the written message. So that's it until next time, and goodbye.